Continuing coverage now on today's announcement by former Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan to end his campaign for governor.
Duggan, an independent, believed the writing was on the wall and he saw no realistic path to victory. 13 News Side's political reporter Josh Albertus joins us now, along with Calvin College political science professor Doug Koopman, with what this all means. Hi, guys.
Yeah, hi guys. Thank you, Professor, for joining us. Really appreciate your time. Really want to get down to it. So really, probably the biggest question for a lot of people is, what does this kind of decision mean? I mean, we saw how Duggan may have been quite popular in a place like Detroit, a very Democratic base, but in that Detroit chamber poll we were talking about in our story earlier, it appeared as though he was taking larger shares of respondents who identified as lean Republican or solid Republican. So in your view, I mean, in terms of campaigns and parties, who benefits the most electorally from his withdrawal?
Well, I think both parties actually benefit. The Democratic Party probably immediately, because the perception was that over time he would draw more from the Democratic Party than the Republican Party. I think the Republican Party benefits because a lot of his donations and some of his ideas were Republican ideas, so he borrowed from both parties. The Republican primary is a few months away, and I think that'll probably, the race will narrow down a little bit for them too, which will save them a little bit of money and will make it clearer who the eventual nominee will be. But so both political parties benefit. I do think the idea of a third party or an independent candidate does suffer from this.
Gotcha. And that was kind of my next question. I mean, does this change anything, or what do you see as this saying about the viability of an independent candidate statewide? Because that was a big message of the Duggan campaign.
Right. So again, theoretically, the third party would attract independent voters, but the reality is you have a person who's a real person from a particular part of the state. And so Duggan was from Detroit, Ann Arbor area, had a history as a Democrat, had a record that's mostly good, but there's always holes to poke in anyone's record. And so when you have a real person running for a real office, the general idea of a third party candidate or an independent sort of squeezes down as to this person be able to do it. And that it will be very difficult for any independent to really make a case for a statewide competitive campaign.
Gotcha. And my last question for you was kind of in terms of how they did perform and their message. I mean, what does that say to you about what we could expect in terms of November and voter sentiment in the playing field of November? What is what he was offering and how it went for him say to you about the November?
So I think his inability to gain some traction says how polarized the electorate is. Republican-leaning voters and Republicans very much dislike the Democratic Party, and Democratic-leaning voters and Democratic voters very much dislike the Republican Party. Duggan's space was sort of the pragmatic problem solver in the middle, and voters don't seem to have that attitude. They're either very afraid of, want to send a message about Trump, or they want a negative message, or they want to send a positive message. So they're reasonably content with a polarized electoral field this year, it seems to me. No space for a problem solver.
Gotcha. Well, political professor Doug Koopman, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your time. We'll send it back to you guys.